So this week's chapter of One Piece definitely was nowhere near the caliber of the previous two chapters. For the most part, this one was mainly focusing on Franky, the gnomes, and their, strategy and what they're trying to do. And that was pretty much in a nutshell it. So there wasn't as much content or as much epic craziness going on as the last couple of chapters. First off, one of the big things that fans, I pretty much will say, usually tend to agree with regarding the looks of the Straw Hats after the time skip, and that's Franky's big body. And now it's actually coming into play where it's becoming a bit problematic in a certain aspect, because it's like he's the only one that can't fit through those little holes because of his gigantic body. And like, yo, why don't you rip those arms off? And I think for the most part, with the time skip looks, from what I hear mostly, and I myself feel the same way, is that Franky's big body definitely isn't the design that I necessarily enjoy. I think it just kind of makes him look a little less like that, hey man, he was cool, he was that pervert, and it's like with those big arms, it's like, wow, it just totally makes it feel like, what the fuck happened to Franky? And it kind of, bit him in the ass in this one, in a sense, because he still said, you know what, fuck that shit, I'm just gonna go raise hell in another way. So it's like, yeah, couldn't necessarily squeeze him through the holes, but I guess it kind of gave him a different route to take. But in essence, yeah, those big arms, I don't know if that's Oda just really like, yeah, I know you guys don't like them, but fuck it, they're there, and that's it, they're not going anywhere, those gigantic fucking arms. We also get a little bit more of a breakdown of Doflamingo's crew in this chapter. Now, Franky's fighting Senor Pink. I'd imagine he's not as strong as some of the other ones, and we also see, for the most part, Doflamingo's crew isn't that big as much as I thought. I mean, we see he has quite a bit of people. He has Dillinger, he has all those people, but we see, first of all, two of his crew is already gone, and they were abroad. That was Virgo and Monet. They're gone. Virgo, got cut in pieces and was probably blown up inside Punk Hazard, as well as Monet was, cut up. So at least two of his crew is already gone, so they don't got to worry about that. Now they got to worry mainly about the people that are actually on the island, and that's, Dillinger again, all the people that we saw in the chapter. So I guess in a sense it was a more in-depth look into the crew and seeing a little bit more of them and who they have to fight or whatever, who's on the island. And last but not least, getting that large view of the factory, of just how big it really is, and kind of seeing how they treating them like just servants and slaves, and it's like, no, you're done, and they're like begging for, please, no, let me work. It is very, once again displaying that they just are in a terrible environment. This needs to change. So it's kind of pushing that a little bit more forward. But for the most part with this chapter, I definitely felt it lacked a lot of progression. It wasn't as crazy, and it's not that every chapter needs to be as crazy as the last 2 weeks, but definitely a more so focus on a smaller aspect, and that's the gnomes and the Franky stuff. And I guess for the most part, out of all the exposition we've been getting for this entire arc, this is the one that is least interesting in certain aspects, because it's like, yeah, they're gnomes, and it's like, really, what the fuck is Usopp gonna do if he goes up against some of these strong people? Although I'd imagine it'd be interesting to see Usopp if he had to go full on out, which, if it was to go up against some of the Doflamingo people, I'd imagine we'd see the full extent of what Usopp really can do, because we've seen glimpses here and there. We've seen when Buffalo and Baby 5 and Usopp and Nami had to kind of like, rope them up or whatever, but I'd imagine with these battles, Usopp would have to go full on out, because this is Doflamingo's crew. They're not going to go easy. So whoever he may fight, we might finally see everything of what he can do after the time skip, because we haven't really got a chance to fully see what he can truly do. Like on Fishman Island, they mostly just owned all their asses, and then Punk Hazard, he didn't really get those big epic, one-on-one brawls. So we might finally get it with this fight with, the Doflamingo crew. And I guess I was a little bit spoiled with the last two chapters, because I felt slightly disappointed with this chapter in a sense. It's like, yeah, it only focused on Franky and the gnomes, and I was like, I wanted so much more. I wanted to see Sabo or Big Mom and her crew, or, just something other than just this small thing. We got to see Doflamingo for like 2 seconds in a panel with Fujitora, and he's mainly just giving orders, but it was like, yeah, I would have totally loved to see a lot more than what it did. It was like Oda just giving you this whole entire pie, and then the very next chapter saying, well, I put that pie there, but I'm mainly just giving you a little piece right now. You can have more later. It's like, fuck! So I'm going to give this one 6 out of 10. It was fine. It was progressing in the sense that Franky is finally attacking the factory, and the gnomes are setting out with their plan. Although I'd imagine soon enough, since it said, the fights are about to start, we're going to probably have those classic one-on-ones where, one of the Doflamingo crew shows up, and then Usopp got to fight him, and same thing with Robin, or maybe it'll be 2-on-2 or whatever. So we're going to probably finally see the full extent of what some of the Straw Hats have learned over the time skip, and I'm excited about that. Let me know what you guys think. First of all, regarding the whole Franky after the time skip look, are you one of those people that are like, you don't mind it, you like it, or you dislike his look? Because I know majority of the people that I know, they're not that big of a fan of the Franky new look. Although it's going to be interesting to see Senor Pink versus Franky, because it's like, yeah, two perverts going at it. It's going to be sick. And Senor Pink is pretty freaking perverted. He ripped that bitch's bra off like nothing. So that's going to be interesting. And again, just, you know, what are you for or against his new look? And also, do you think this is finally the time to see the full extent of what some of the Straw Hats can do after the time skip? Because again, we haven't really got that full on, you know, Usopp on his last breath really trying his best. So do you think this is the time when it's going to happen? And just your overall thoughts of the chapter. Were you slightly disappointed that it was just like, not any of those big things that were introduced in the past couple of chapters, and it was more so just down to Franky and the gnomes and what they're up to? Let me know in the comment section below and your overall thoughts of this chapter. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for pervert versus pervert in the next chapter, because yeah, things is gonna get pretty perverted for that world. And as always, people, have an awesome day.